Right, so we're starting oil painting today, and some of you are also doing acrylics, and the method is the same, but the way you do it is slightly different. So every time I say oil, think water if you're using acrylics, right? Because you don't use oil to let down acrylics. If you want them, you let them down, you use oil. There are many ways of using oils, and this is just one way, which I find rather fun and rather exciting, and a bit hairy to start with. But in fact, I think it's a lot easier than some of the ways that people suggest. Anyway, so basically, what I'm going to do is to take a leaf out of watercolor and use oils very, very thinly to start with to create my initial painting. Nothing that I do now is laid down in tablets of stone. It's if you like, a working base. Some of it will stay, and some of it will be painted over, some will be painted out, depending on where the color I'm putting on lands in relation to what I want to do. Right, I think that's just the talk over. Oil paints. Normally, when I'm painting in oils, I put out a full palette of color. I came to oil painting via a different route to watercolor. When I'm painting watercolor, I tend to use a restricted palette so that the picture works all nicely together. When I'm doing oil painting, I put everything out and I use the lot. So I don't know, it's just the way I was taught, and I find it easier. Now for this method, for your first fix, if you like, I don't use white at all, so I haven't put any white out. But I do have lemon yellow, Indian yellow, which looks quite dark, but is in actual fact a brilliant sunny yellow when it's mixed. Raw sienna, burnt sienna, orange, red, alizarin, ultramarine violet. Then I've got cerulean blue, but Prussian would be actually better, but I couldn't find any today, and viridian. So, and I put them out the whole way, and I always put them out in that order. So if you like, I start with the white, which I haven't put out at all, and then I put them out as if they were knocking each other on. So the white goes to the lemon goes to the brilliant yellow goes to the raw sienna, which goes to the burnt sienna, which goes to orange, which goes to red. Can you see how the thing is progressing? Red goes to alizarin, which is a bluey red, which leads to purple, purple leads to blue, and the green goes at the end because that's the way the green goes. I used to add sepia, but at this stage, I don't want to introduce any real darks. So I won't be doing that. I'm using oil. I've got a little dibber to put my oil in. This is not oil, terps. But in this case, I'm using Zest-It because terps is a bit on high. And if you do a lot of painting at home using terps, it smells the house out. So you're better using something like that. I do get a high on terps. I'm away. Right, brush. The brush is made of hog's hair. This is the one I'm going to use. It's a very big brush to start with, because I want to cover big areas. I'm not fiddling around with little details now. So most of the time when I'm painting with oil, I use a hog's hair. I like a flat. For some reason, I always work with a square brush. But you can get what they call filbert, which come to a point, and they're equally good, and they work just as well. It depends on how you feel about it. Right, okay, well, let's start painting. I've done the drawing. You see how little I've put on. I've got the building in, more or less, and I just put squares for where the windows are. I've got a vague idea of how the roof is, where this building is. I've gone into a bit more detail with the people. This is a street scene, so you're going to have people in it. So the thing to do is to put them in at the beginning. Don't say I'll paint the picture and then I'll put people in if I can, because it doesn't work. So you need to get them in this time. When you're putting people in, I've drafted in 2 extras. There's the picture of the 2 extras. There we are. These 2 ladies and the little dog go in a lot of my pictures. I took a photograph of them in Kingsbridge long time ago. And I just like the way they are. There's a couple of ladies chatting. So they've appeared in at the Lincoln Square in Manchester for certain, and 1 or 2 other places as well. Now they've migrated to this picture. And I've dressed them for winter this time instead of for summer. But I just like the pose, and the little dog helps. He is in the original picture, which I put online, this fellow on a bike. And I think that always helps too. This lady I've given a little child to, because I didn't want 2 and 2. Although these 2 aren't together, he's he's walking in front of her. So these 2 aren't together, but because there are 2 in the picture and there's 2 here, I wanted to change that to a 3. So that's a 3, that's a 1, and that's a 2. If you had 2 there and 2 there, it would look a bit samey. You do get it, but you don't have to do. And then I put a little fella in here, but I don't think I'm putting him in. We might. Right. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to think about it. Okay, I'm putting quite a bit of the Zest-It on the palette and mixing in some very thin cerulean. And I'm just putting it up here. It's going to gallop down the thing. I'm not worried about that. Just thin. Just say this is where it is. And I'm not worried about it going over places, because in places the roofs are painted this piece of board so many times it's quite smooth, so Lord knows where these little drips will end. Right, okay. So if I wanted to, that's that one. So I'll put a bit of touch of purple in that. I just added a bit of purple to the mix. Add a bit more, that's not enough. Oops, that's a bit much. Right, so if I put a bit of purple in here, it's fun, isn't it? What's that? That's the side of a white building. Okay, so purple makes quite a nice shadow on a white building. So I'm quite happy to put it in there. And it comes down here. Now, this white building here, I'm not going to paint it white. What I'm going to do is put in bits. Do you remember the colors we were putting in on that watercolor we did last week? Well, I'm doing the same thing here. Just putting in. And if I think it's gone too, just let it run. This is white too, isn't it? Let's put it over here too. And you can see I'm just ignoring the drawing pretty well. It's approximately where I want it to be. And I've got some nice runs and things there. And we were saying this was green over here. That's some purple over here. It's lovely and sloshy, this. You really don't care what, where you put it, sort of thing. This, if you like, is the underpainting. quite like that big bump. Okay, let's see if we can get. Now, we're getting runs of the color in it. Don't worry. Don't worry. It'll go. No, it just happens by accident. I'm not being careful. No. I'm not being careful. I'm not being careful. Yes. I'm not being careful. Now that's gone a bit brown. Right, so we've got this over here. A bit of red alizarin. Alizarin. Let's get some alizarin in. So, well, yes, this building is red brick. So I'm using those orangey tones as the back color. But I don't want to be too precise about it. I don't mind it coming into this building. In fact, it's rather nice coming into that building. So I'll just put it this right. So when I work on top and put in these bars, what I'll be doing is painting in the light bit and leaving these colors as the bar. So the bars will all come out different colors all the way around, which makes a much more lively, interesting picture. If you can bear to do it that way. Let's get another brush because this one has got a bit mucky. And I'm using oranges, so now I don't want to lose the quality of the orange. Right, now that's a bit strong, so I'll just put some. I'll just put some oil in it, make it run a bit. You can see I've got something on the floor. Right, so into that we'll put a bit of the some of this is dark, so it doesn't matter if it runs, you know. I'm just putting stuff on in the approximate place where I want it to go. And if it's too thick or it's not interesting enough, I just put a bit of terps in and let it run. Right, it's coming on, you know. We're doing fine. What can we do now? Well, we can continue down there. I think by the time you get near the bottom, you'd probably want to introduce, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Introduce a bit of this color down here. And there I can make it really, come on, let's get some beef in this. There we are, that's right. And yeah, it's that. Right. Just makes it gallop down the page and you get interesting marks, which add to the excitement of the occasion. Look at that, isn't it gorgeous? Says somebody doubtfully. Yeah, well, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. And if I can't, if I lose track of it, I just put that over the top. He appears. He's back again. Okay. And that's quite adequate underpainting for him. In fact, we can probably run it down here. Yes. And I want the weight at the bottom of the picture because in actual fact, although the gate is what the picture's about, I think that's going to be the most interesting part to paint. We can put some dark over here. But I don't want it to be boringly dark over there all the time. So I'll give her a bit of that over here. I don't want this to be all one color. So if we, I'm just using the wrong color there. That little white dog is not going to be white, is he? Right. Okay. This is the bit I like, you know, when you do this. It's lovely and messy. And you can just run the color in. Where's me? Right. Some viridian. Now, if you're working in acrylics, you're probably going to have to work faster than me. If you're painting this way, because acrylics, if you let them down with water, it dries very fast. So it wouldn't run like this. It doesn't matter desperately if it doesn't run, because where am I? Because you can always you can put more on. Yes, but you can get nice soft edges if you just put the brush stroke on and let it fade off into itself. You can get some nice soft edges. Yeah, yes, it does a bit, doesn't it? Right. Now, I don't want it to be unbalanced, so yeah, yeah, yes, it's what it's all about really. And I like the runs. That's they won't stay because there's a big back door there, so they won't stay. But these might. It depends on how interesting I find them. They seem to have gone a bit dull, don't they? What can I do with her? Make her a bit brighter. So it might look random, but there's I want that to look in itself reasonably mixed. That's far too pale up there. I'll have to do something about that. That's ridiculous. What was I doing? I was giving her something. Well, it's a sort of lemony smell, isn't it? Right. She needs a few runs across her. There we are. Yeah, yeah. So I might. Are you worried about this? Well, don't forget the underpainting. This is an underpainting, and what goes on top is white, largely. And if you look at, for instance, if you look at white snow, the colors in the shadows are colors, because you're seeing it as through a prism, really, aren't you? Yeah. So that's the thinking behind that. Not that the green is there, but it's going to be a sort of reflected light underneath the white, and it will show on the bars. They can be. Mostly they're opaque. If I was painting in another method, it wouldn't be sloshy like this. It would, you can paint what they call alla prima. So you put the color that is there where it is. Bon, that's it in the story. I'm not, and you can do that. That's there's no reason why you shouldn't do that. It's just that I'm not doing that. Well, yes, it's if you like, an adaptation of a watercolor. No, it's just George's method. Because that's where I learned it first. I did a painting, an oil, entered a competition, and actually sold it. So I thought, well, I better learn how to do this. I'm going to sell it. So that's when I went to George's classes, and he's taught me a lot. Anyway, that is as far as I go for Faulkners today. Okay, sorry. I think. Right. I think that will do. That will do. It's a start. So what I've done is put the color, the undercolor, where I want it to be. And I don't mind if one runs into the other, because that adds to the integrity of the picture. And I've also tried to put a color one place and I've put it somewhere else as well. That again helps to make the picture have cohesion that you want. I'm not trying to reproduce this. I'm using this as a way of painting a picture, right? So I know when you start painting, you tend to want to make it like it is. And I'm asking you to move beyond that. Okay. So